Hey, OpenAI just announced the 4.1 model, and it's really 3 models, and it's only in the API. A little bit confusing, but really what you should hear from this 4.1 release is if you're into coding or if you do anything that has agentic coding in it, this is an announcement you really want to pay attention to. In this video, I'm actually going to use it as fast as I possibly can. It's time to jump into a little bit of vibe coding. First, I'm going to very briefly fly over what they announced so that you know what we're getting into, and then we're going to drop directly into Cursor and start building something brand new. Let's have some fun. First things first, OpenAI is releasing GPT-4.1 in the API. That's actually important. It's not part of ChatGPT. They're going to be removing 4.5 from the API. This outperforms it, they say. So they're going to leave 4.5 in ChatGPT and leave 4.1 in the API. And it's really very focused on coders and coding kind of techniques or needs. So let's take a quick look. They also included a nano model, which is smaller than their mini model. And they mentioned it's good at things like autocomplete and those sorts of things. So very interesting that it can do classification as well as next in kind of searching. But today, really, I just want to go in and use this 4.1 to build with. First, let's take a look. They have 4.1, 4.1 mini, 4.1 nano, larger context windows. Now, this is a really important aspect. It's a 1 million token context window. So this is their first window that allows for 1 million tokens. For coding, they say 4.1 is significantly better, including agentically solving coding tasks. That it follows instructions very well, it follows format, the format that you desire, follows negative instructions much better, which is also very interesting to hear. Don't do certain things. Ordered instructions, content requirements like I always need you to include X. And they mentioned something about overconfidence here. Instruct the model to say I don't know or similar if requested information isn't available so that it doesn't, I think, hallucinate is what they're basically saying here. The 4.1 model, they say, is exceptionally strong at image understanding, which is exciting for me because I very commonly am sending in images and screenshots into my coding experience. From a pricing standpoint, I'll say Mini is kind of on par with other systems these days. 4.1 itself still is commensurate, I'd say, with many other things. But enough of this. Let's go in and build something, right? That's what this is all about. Okay, we're going to run this one a little bit different than usual. I'm going to fast forward through a couple of the bits here, but to tell you how I got started, I blathered for a bit, as you guys know I'm prone to do. And then I took that to a thinking model and said, condense this into a very reasonable product specification. And that's what's in this Wordle deck. What you'll see below this is I need you to kind of structure this, take everything out of it, condense it, make it simplified, and how I want it laid out. And this really came from me saying I want a highly structured and separated kind of thing. I'm skipping through this. I just want you to be aware. This is the prompt that we're going to take and we're going to throw at Cursor with this new model and get started. So let's do that now. All right, here we are in my code folder. I have GPT-4.1 already selected. It's worth saying I'm using Cursor, and Cursor dropped very shortly after the live stream for the announcement was complete. Excellent work, guys. That's really exciting and really encouraging as a user. Neat to see. I'm going to now take this, paste this in here, and kind of let it go. Now, I will say one of the things I've been noticing, I'm going to kick this off in a second, one of the things I've been noticing is 4.1 and maybe Cursor, I don't know whose responsibility this is. The instructions coming back from 4.1 maybe aren't fine-tuned enough on Cursor to be able to always execute. So many times it will end up saying, oh, that sounds like a good idea. I see what you're interested in doing, as if it's just a chatbot and Cursor won't take the next step. But the way I've been solving that so far is just by saying, can you please take the action or can you do this? So it just moves on. Let's see what happens. Yep. So it's doing it again. It's kind of, oh, it's actually running off. So excellent. Here we go. Going to pause. I'm going to do a lot of jump cutting here. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so, not surprising, it's a day one drop with OpenAI and millions of people like to use this stuff. So all I'm getting over and over and over again is request aborted. I'm sure the servers are on fire at this point. Sam's in there with a blanket trying to help me get this one little thing run so that I can get my types file created. I appreciate it, Sam. Maybe I don't need it. Let's run this as it stands so far, see how far we got. Okay, at this point, I have a blank white page, which maybe is one step further than not having a web server. So we're kind of stuck at this point. Okay, it went so poorly last night, I had to give up. Back for day 2. Let's see if they've got this working yet. Please continue building from the initial spec. Of course, assuming it's good, it says npm run dev will get us there. Doesn't look good. At this point, all I see is a white screen, no errors or any logging at all in the console either. Ah, there we go. You can see it in the background. It just updated to that. That's looking good. Outstanding. Looks great. Arrow keys moves it around in a circle so you can tell. Boy, that's a great start. Okay, I am going to create a repository. I know I leave this step out a lot, but I want to make sure that everybody hears this. This third tab up at the top in cursor is a repository source control mechanism that allows you to create a repository. If you don't see the information here, ask your agent what's going on, because it might be able to just install Git in your environment. It's very likely that you just don't have Git installed or something like that. And this is all local. You can also publish to GitHub so that it's actually stored in the cloud. I highly advise that. Super easy to do. But for now, I just want to initialize this repository with everything that we've got in here. So this is where we started. If anything goes wrong from here on as we start building, we can always come back to this point and check out this branch at this moment, or really this commit at this moment. So that's the real point that I wanted to make, is make sure you commit when you get to a good place. Okay, this is great. So we now have a card standing on the ground. I want you to be aware that what we have is a card standing on the ground. That card is the game board. That game board is the boundary to the game that we're going to be dropping down. So everything that we drop down at this point needs to be in that game duration of your parts. We want a highly organized environment where you're separating the different component parts. You're using abstractions where possible. We have small files. You're never creating a big, massive file. Use utility functions to do external work. We want to make sure the top portion will be a grid. It's essentially a 5x5 grid. I think you know what it looks like. Have any letters at all, so we'll be able to see what those tiles look like with no letters on them. Let's see what you got for that. That's kind of a big one. Let's see. All right. Swears it's done. Let's take a look. We run. Well, that's a bit of a problem. Let's see, do a circle, make sure it's not here, take a look in the logs. Oh, yeah, we got something. So let's give this to him and see what he can do. Oh, okay. All right, and here's where I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, okay, this isn't bad, but of course it's not at the top. This should be starting from the top. And also, as you might be able to tell, the font is maybe not colored, not the right color. I'm not sure what's going on with it. You take a look. Okay, it swears it should now be flush with the top. And I'm telling it not quite. Well, as you can see, once again, it's not really flush with the top. Also, can you color the letters black or something? Because right now they're invisible. I can only see the embossing. Letters are still having a problem. We still have some embossing problems. Letters will always be white. So, okay, that also failed. Let me get a hammer. Do these letter faces look white to you? No, letter faces do not look white. Do your best. Certainly changed things. Not what we want, but I decided let's drop over to Windsurf. I am not a Windsurf subscriber. So as you can see, I'm running out of credits, it says, because I've used Windsurf in the past, but it's been a while, frankly. And actually, Windsurf was part of the announcement for 4.1 and announced that they were going to take, it was going to be no cost to use the 4.1 model between the 14th and the 21st, which perfect for me, especially today with all the trouble that I'm having. So let's jump over to the 4.1 free limited time. Let's see what we've got over here. Well, hello, Windsurf. It's been a long time. Listen, I have kind of a Wordle, 3D Wordle game going on here, but the faces are not displaying, so there's no representation of the face data. It's always transparent. I've given you an image here so that you can see what I'm talking about. Can you give it a shot to try to fix this, please? We'll see. All right, let's let it cook.
Let's just agree this moment never happened. The vibes spiraled, the code lashed out, and, well, we all said some things we can't take back. Time to move on.
Okay, all right, full disclosure. So we had some problems, right? We had some real problems with the letters. It was basically something it couldn't solve. I ended up going a completely different route on how to render the letters. You can see I've also come back to cursor, as I just don't think it's fair to judge the model for the many things that we were seeing. So let's go forward from here. Sorry about that, 4.1. Let's see what you got. Okay, 4.1, listen, we've got some letters here, we've got some tiles here. I want you to take a look at the image that I've sent you. Basically, what we're looking for is the color schemes to be right. They might already be right, so I'm not trying to correct you there. So the grid where the tiles are doesn't need any background color at all. And we want to separate the tiles, the letter tiles themselves. Okay, it's working on it. It's working on it. I kind of like it. Let's go ahead and make the card color brighter, pretty close to white. Maybe the tiles that don't have colors or don't have any letters yet could be of the example of Wordle again. Okay, that was a nice stab. I don't think the borders, at least not in this experience, is what we're going for. Maybe if we got it closer to white, it would solve our... Okay, I appreciate, I see in the code you wrote that it's white, FFF, but obviously our OmniLight is not strong enough maybe to light things up, self-lit colors or something like that so that we're not fighting this problem. I like it a lot. Listen, the letters or the tiles that don't have any letters yet at all, they need to be just a little bit grayer so that they stand out a little bit. Okay, we're still trying to change the margins, and I was just trying to make top margin match the left and the right margins, and your last message was basically, take a look at the image, try to figure out what you did wrong, and correct it. Okay, I think you need to rethink this altogether because that pretty much did nothing. Visually, it seems to have done nothing. Card width minus grid width divided by 2, that's our top margin. You know, you're really a participant in this. All right, I'll give it credit. It gave us math back. It's the first time I've seen math coming back in a formula format. And it, of course, worked. That's great. But really, this is a good example of these models run into this and they start making assumptions about many, many things. You are there for a reason. You're part of this process. Don't be afraid to get involved and say what you believe needs to occur. When you're not sure, you can also give it your level of confidence saying, well, I don't really know if this is what needs to happen. Remember, you can also check your code in right before you do that, just in case something goes haywire. But you're really a part of this, and you should be. The more that you're willing to do that, the better results you're going to get. I guarantee it. Okay, time for a little bit of cleanup. Take these example letters off. We were just putting, what I would like you to allow me to do is to be able to type in letters on the keyboard and they start going into the grid. Let's just start doing that. And you can say that every one of them misses. We don't need to implement any logic. We just need the letters to be able to show up and let them all be misses. Seems like the whole grid goes away the first letter I press. Interesting behavior of this model's communication. We're working together on solving these problems. Of course, he's writing most of the code. I'm just telling him what I'm interested in. And very often he's coming back and referencing it as you need to. If anybody's vibe coded in the past, you'll know when a particularly nasty bug comes up and you ask the model, hey, can you go figure out what's going wrong with this? It's supposed to this, not that. Every now and then, not terribly frequently, it happens so infrequently that it's irritating when it does happen. The model will come back and say, yeah, it looks like you did this in this file. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this. Do you want me to fix that? I'll go fix that. And it's just enough to irritate you to realize, no, you're writing all of this code. I don't even know what you're talking about. These aren't parts that I laid down. Why are you blaming that on me? And it's just, I think, a human reaction to the, wait, where did this kind of personification of who's writing the code or whose fault it is show up? This one is always saying in you. So at the very least, it feels like it always thinks the code is mine. I'm not quite as irritated by it. But at the same time, that's a little odd that it doesn't have the understanding that we're in this conversation. If it was the first statement in this context, I might understand that. But back and forth, it's strange that it's lost the awareness that it's making these changes. I don't know. Let's see if we got letters. Excellent. Perfect. All right. We're almost there. We're really, really close. Okay, now we're cooking. Thank you. Listen, what I need you to do is I need you to put a representation. It doesn't need to be real. It just needs to be a representation of the keyboard, the bottom of the card. This, in theory, will be done using an actual keyboard, so it's not something that the user needs to be able to interact with at this time. Okay, well, I mean, it is a keyboard. We'll deal with that in a second. Here, let's see. Let me see if I rotate around. All right, they seem to have attached to the board. It's good. We do have an Omni. That's good. Okay. Well, okay, congratulations. You definitely have a keyboard. It needs to fit, so they're going to need to be scaled down. When I press a letter, they should be different colors once the letter has been chosen or selected. That's not bad, but what I'll say is I've copied the line 2 that I have selected. It's got a magic number in it, and those should be collected somewhere. This is not very dry, as I think that number is multiple times in this file. So make sure the rest of this file is dry, since this mistake was in here. Let's see where we are. Okay, so this is good. One of the things we will need is a backspace handle. So we need to be able to move back on the letters that we've already selected. That also should change keyboard and everything else, of course. Hopefully you have that managed in a way that it's clean, that once A gets removed or the last letter gets removed from the collection of things that we've typed, the keyboard will also update appropriately as well as the tile. So let's make sure that that's in place. All right, let's see if we got this right. Perfect. What's next? Okay, in Wordle, we're generally typing in letters before we get judged on whether or not those letters are right. So while you're typing the letters, they need to be in a color, maybe, I don't know the best way to do this. If you know Wordle, do it the way Wordle does it. I don't quite remember Wordle. I should go look, but let's do this real quick and make it our own, because I can only put 5 characters into a row, which means you're probably going to need to start tracking these entries by row instead of just a string of letters that you're capturing at this point, no doubt. So we're going to need to allow me to type in a letter and it does not show any tile color. And they only turn white once you send a row in. And then at 5 letters, stop trapping new letters. Let's start with that and see where we go. Wow. I think I'm asking a lot there. And there's no way that's right because it was so small. The surface area of what they changed was so small. So let's try. Okay, that was pretty excellent. Really good job for one. Okay, wow, that was brilliant. Great work. Let's move on to the next thing, which is I want to be able to hit the enter key. And when I hit enter, then the letters should be judged and we should move on to the next row. And of course, backspacing when on the next row should not backspace through the previous row. Once they get locked, they're locked for good. I mean, heck, I barely understand what I just said. And again, the surface area seems pretty small. Let's find out. Whoa. Wow. Oh, keyboard. Let's see if it's per row. Nope. Lost it altogether. So that's freaking great. Wow, that's excellent work. I like the code you're putting down too. It's very small changes, which means you have very efficient code here. That's nice work. Keyboard is no longer lighting up when I select key or to show the indicator of what items have been selected. Oh, it asked me again, would you like me to do this? So maybe I'm using action verbs on many of my other requests. Many times I'm saying, okay, what we need to do next. And this time I was just making an observation, but models typically take that observation and do the work from it. That's interesting. And I don't know if that would be a tuning element that Cursor has done in the past, that they pass in messages that say, take actions to do this work. But I understand where they would want to leave it alone so that I could just have a conversation. And this model seems to fall more into that conversational space. That's interesting. See what they did. I like it. Yeah. Okay. I mean, dude, we're close. I mean, this is close. Okay. I got to check in. All right. Accept everything. Close that. Come back here. Commit that so that we're safe, so that it can't be blown away, damn it. Because I'm going to go hard on this last one. It's just going to make a mess. I don't want to go hard, but I want you guys to see this. All right. So maybe I'll back up to this later and make it clean. For now, here's what we're going to do. Clear all the context, get everything out of the window. Okay, 4.1, this has been pretty brilliant work. I've been very impressed with your coding style. Listen, I do have a need. We have, I think, most of the moving parts. What we don't have is end game. So you can lose if you get to the end of the row and you haven't gotten the word correct. So that's a lose scenario. It's fine. Right now it would work, meaning there's no more rows to type into. There's nothing wrong with it. It could just sit there in that kind of state. But there is a win scenario, which is somebody gets the correct 4 or 5 greens in a row, essentially, right? They get the right word is the idea. Okay, and with that, I want to remind you one more time, I need you to make sure that your code is very abstracted and clean, separated, and small. I'm looking for efficient representation of this code. I have a feeling we will be making more changes to it in the future. Don't make assumptions that what we write can go inside of any of these components. These visual components should not be carrying the code that does the actual gameplay logic itself. So now we are going to build Wordle, and I need you to have, 35 words that you come up with, 5-letter words as an initial dictionary just for testing. So put that into a const file, put that somewhere. We will change that later to figure out how to update that more dynamically. But for now, let's just have a list of words in a file that we read from as potential dictionary. We pull one out at random. That's the word that the board is going for. And then the player gets to play. So this is following the standard rules of Wordle, each letter getting colored, representing whether or not they got the letter in the right position, or that letter exists somewhere, or the letter does not exist. So those are the 3 states. I think you're aware of all of these. We've already built the moving parts for all of this, and we need to build that. The last thing I will say is if I get the word, if I hit the win scenario that I want, and again, this external to what all's going on, and it should maybe be behind the board, I want a fireworks show. I want you to use some kind of emitters or something that create a win scenario that's kind of fun. So let's go ahead and try to build basically the rest of the Wordle game. Okay, so what is the likelihood this is going to do what I just asked it to? This is a lot. This is a whole lot. So let's see how it does at building all essentially of the gameplay of Wordle when it has the moving parts of the board and the keys and the tile in place. And in the meantime, I am terrible at Wordle. Let me go back and look up some Wordle strategies. All right, code is now ready to use. Give it a shot. Let's reload it, give it its best chance. Oh, I like it. Oh, all right, so let's see. I know y'all know it. Stop. How about? That's gotta be it, right? Oh, come on, Wordle. Let's see. I can't think. Stop. What do you mean it's not a word? I really can't do this while somebody's watching. I like Ellie. Okay, that's good, thank you. Is that how you spell? That's not nothing. I like that. God, no. Okay, you tell me what the word could have been here. Are you sure we're doing the evaluation correct? Because I'm a bloody genius, and that should have worked. No, don't. Would you like me to fix it? And you said you knew it. Trape is a word. I mean, I don't know how to, maybe that. Trape is a word. So I'm going to tell it to show the word at the end of the game as well. Just to double check. Now you can trust the tile colors and win-loss scenario. Sure, got my eye on you, Wordle. You knew I was doing, that's what it is. 4.1. It's all me bad-mouthing it earlier, getting me back. It knew I was doing that in the open and that I was going to look like an idiot. I mean, I'm not an idiot. So let's try this. Audio. All right. Crane. Oh no. Whoop, stop it. I got it. Oh. Oh, come on. Delta, you can't use a proper, come on. I guess Delta's not a, I wanted to win one, damn it. Okay. I'm getting this from them. That's why I'm doing that stupid thing. I don't know anything about this. Another. Oh, you're going to do this to me? Schlam? Is that where? I'm trying it anyway. Is Delta? Oh, okay. I know what I'm doing. What do you mean it's Delta? There is an E. Oh, I missed it. Why didn't you tell me? Y'all are just not helping me. What do you think? Oh, oh no. I'm sunk. All right. E. It's going to be Delta. I know this is painful. I'm sorry. Just imagine how it feels standing here all alone, realizing I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm never going to get fjord. Oh, Jesus. I told you I was bad at this. All right. Audio. No. Crane. No. Fjord. Oh, only one. And we got the... It was not all that. But we do have a game. Okay. Holy cow. Okay. So, OpenAI released 4.1. How did it feel? Let's be honest. I would go pretty close to an A with the model for my feel for it in this experience because it was very good at picking up things from the visual that I was giving it. Some other models are pretty good as well, frankly. Claude 3.7, also an excellent coding model, but loves to talk. The hallmark for me for that model, the 3.7 model, is that it will change everything all of the time. Things that absolutely did not need changing at all, and they're not necessarily even picking better patterns very often when they make those changes. But I will say 4.1 did literally none of that. I didn't see it at all do that. And that puts it into the rank of an A for me. 2.5, I would say 2.5 Pro still has a lot going for it. It's a thinking model. It's not really fair to compare the two necessarily for this. But I will say I didn't feel like I needed the thinking model here at all. I had the problems with the letters and that kind of stuff, and it really went down a path, and it got stuck on that path until I happened somewhere else to ask the question of, my gosh, let's just do this another way. Maybe this is just, the way that we're using the geometry that we've brought in. Maybe it just doesn't work, or I don't understand it well enough to help you get past this hurdle. Is there another methodology? It said, oh yeah, that's right. There's another way that's very standard. Let's use that. And that's how we got there. So that wasn't necessarily the thinking model as much as me being able to say, let's try it a different way. And I hadn't said that to 4.1. Once over that hurdle, 4.1 really crushed everything, I would say. It did a great job. Again, this is agentic coding, right? This is back to that concept. This is agentic coding. This is not your vibe coding concept that you're going to throw down one thing. It'll be great at vibe coding. But really the question here isn't, can it create an application in one prompt? These interactions, this agentic coding that you just saw me doing, that's coding in the future. That's where we're headed. And that's what's useful is, can it work together with a pair programmer well? Is it giving back enough information? Is it describing the changes it's making and the logic behind it reasonably enough? So, and it does that flawlessly. And it also kicked my butt in Wordle. That's not saying a lot. I'm embarrassed, so it is what it is. All right, I thought I would show you the new model that came out and how cool it was or wasn't. And in fact, I think I'll be using it for a while. I think I will use it as my base model for a while. It looks very promising, except that I have to go back and ask it to do it sometimes and use that action verb. That's a nuance. That's something obviously that I would expect Cursor or Windsurf or other tools to have to do for me so that it can keep track of when I'm actually asking it to make a change. That's fine. I hope this wasn't too irritating for you. I know I made a lot of mistakes along the way on this one. I got very frustrated, but it was also a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy these kinds of things. I like kind of messing around with play applications like this. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe. There's, I think, a button down here somewhere. So I would appreciate it. It certainly helps me out, helps the channel out. It definitely helps me feel like, maybe not on this one. I was embarrassed. The more people that subscribe on this one, maybe I'll realize how many people really saw me make a complete fool out of myself. Okay, thanks for coming along for the ride on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.